for your company.
You're welcome, Peter. It's great to be on your show, mate.
Let me start, I suppose, by congratulating you on such a strong showing in New England in particular against Tony Windsor. Plenty of pundits, myself included, thought it would be closer than it was, but in the end it wasn't remotely close. But at the national level, it was a close election. It looks like you're going to get a majority, but only because of the National Party, in net terms, if you win Capricornia, picking up one seat on the 2013 result. In your wildest dreams, did you expect that, given that 2013 was such a strong election result for Conservative politics?
Well, Peter, we've had the discussions within the National Party from a long way out from the election, basically saying get back to your electorate, get round your electorate, get into your local pubs, into your clubs, into the CWA halls, keep walking around those shopping malls, say good day to people, make sure that they clearly understand that you're in there serving them, that's your job, you're their servant. And yes, I was very humbled by the result we got here in New England, which we got over 52% of the primary. It looks like it's heading towards a 59-41 result when the postals all come in. But I was also very much buoyed by the fact that people like Michelle Landry was just working flat out. Kenny O'Dowd, in his own sort of unique way, was being known throughout his electorate. Our new candidates, we're not taking it for granted. We made sure that there was no messianic figure that was going to carry them across the line. They just had to work hard, and they did precisely that. And the National Party was rewarded, even though the Labor Party threw everything bar the kitchen sink at us. And I might just say to the Labor Party, with all the money you spent on New England, you spent millions. That was the money that you could have actually won seats elsewhere. So thank you very much. It was a good little honey pot that you chucked your money into, and we're grateful for all of it because it kept you away from other candidates in other seats. And also down in Victoria, Damien Drum, well-known local, well-liked person, a person with political experience, and he's got across the line expanding our role in Victoria. And of course, I'm extremely happy with our team, and we've had a good election, and we've gone from a high water mark to another high water mark, and just goes to show you that people have faith in what we do for them in Canberra, and we'll make sure we honour that faith by working as hard as we can to deliver on our promises.
Just staying on the New England vote for the moment, Barnaby Joyce, this was better than a lot of people anticipated. Tell me, is this the end for Tony Windsor?
Well, that's a question for Mr Windsor. I will just talk for ourselves. I'm really happy that we had a good team. We worked incredibly hard. We had a real plan for the New England that's also a plan for our nation, such as decentralisation, such as dams, such as inland rail, making sure we get the New England Highway upgraded. But this also works to a national plan. It's not completely parochial. It's about making sure our nation decentralises, making sure our nation gets stronger. Dams increase the capacity of our nation, tactile things that people understand. They understand it when you're talking about improving their roads and bypassing towns with the highway so that they can get a better flow of basically shop-friendly traffic into their towns. These are the sort of things that people understand, they get, and we got a good response. And but I don't take anything for granted. Straight away, I looked at where we were strong, Paul, and where we were weak, and asked the questions: how can we do better? And I hope that all my candidates and all the sitting members are doing precisely the same. Don't take anything for granted. Work out straight away. Get straight back to your people. Go and say good day to them. Work out how you can do better next time.
If we look at the Cabinet and the Ministry, clearly there's been a change in the relative power balance here between the Liberals and Nationals as a result of the election. So what sort of justified changes do you think should therefore occur in terms of the balance in the front bench?
Well, it's ruthlessly determined by the numbers. About 60% of the coalition agreement is mathematics, and it's just, what numbers you have in Cabinet, and then it's a proportionality argument. There's nothing really too remarkable beyond that. We want to make sure that we go forward with the portfolios that look after the people we serve, the people of regional Australia, and I'm absolutely certain as part of an effective coalition, and we have won this election.
But when you talk about the mathematics, how does that translate in terms of Cabinet posts?
Well, it's quite simple. You work out how many people you've got in Cabinet and what proportion of the party is national, the coalition is the National Party, so you can work forward from there. And it's been like that since John Howard's days.
Would it be correct, though, Barnaby Joyce, to assume you'll get one more in Cabinet, therefore? That becomes your choice. Is there a pathway back, perhaps, for someone like Luke Hartiger given that he was demoted under a previous reshuffle?
Well, we'll look forward to finding out exactly who has won. I don't want to start preempting things or hypothesising. I'm very certain that we were going to win in Flynn because of the postals, the trend in the postals, and the absentees, the way they're going, and we'll also win in Capricornia, and then we'll see how our colleagues go in the Liberal Party and what their final numbers are. Then we can have a more substantive discussion. But there's nothing clandestine, sinister, or unremarkable about this. It's just a proportionality argument, and if we're entitled to a position, we'll ask for that position. That's how it works.
Just quickly, though, have you already had discussions with Malcolm Turnbull about some of these permutations since the results on Saturday?
Not beyond the basic, what I just said then. It's just that it's ruthlessly governed by the numbers, and that is a conversation you don't even need really to have. Everyone understands that. So we're just basically waiting to find out exactly where it all finishes. Mr. Shorten, I'm going to give this guy 10 out of 10. I've never seen a person with the second lowest vote since the Second World War having such a celebration. I mean, if he'd got the lowest vote, he would have been flying around the place in a hot air balloon. It's a disaster. But he's managed to sandbag Albo. He's kept Albo away. Now, Albo, I'm going to give you a little bit of a tip, mate. You've got to listen to Paul Keating. You've got to have the ticker, old Trout. Got to have the ticker. If you're going to make a run for it, Albo, now's the time to do it, old boy, because otherwise you're out of the game. So go for it, Albo.
Just on the question of process, Barnaby, Joyce, does this mean after the election we'll have a new negotiated and written agreement between the coalition partners?
Oh, we always do, Paul. We're pouring through a heap of them. We always have a written agreement, but
sure. Well,
it's just so there's never any arguments later on about what's going on.
Sure. And in terms of that written agreement, what are the major aspirations that you would like to see embodied in that written agreement as a very successful National Party leader?
Well, the first aspiration, Paul, is that the agreement remains confidential. So that's aspiration number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. So whatever's in that shall remain confidential. But look, we have had the most successful form of government since the post-Second World War has been a coalition government. And it's always worked with this relationship between the National Party and the Liberal Party. It manages to manage the tensions that sometimes arise. We all have one thing in mind. We want the best outcome for our nation. Our nation comes first, and we use that as a mechanism to fend off the Green Labor Party alliance and see what they come up with. It'll be an interesting Parliament. The Labor Party have tried to save their souls by going madly to the left. I don't know what's left behind.
But from your perspective, just concentrate on the Nationals for a moment. I mean, there was certainly a view shared by commentators. I certainly wrote about this in John Howard's biography, that during the Howard years, the Nats became increasingly subservient to the Howard agenda. That's not to say they didn't achieve outcomes for regional Australia, but there wasn't that robustness, if you like, in the relationship that existed back in the sort of 70s and 80s and before that in the coalition. Is it your view, given this result for the Nationals, that you will become a stronger voice in the coalition as the junior partner?
I think we provide a message for the coalition, but also a vision for the nation. You take dams. We drive issues such as dams. We drive issues such as making sure small businesses are well looked after. Even on things that are right out west where you say, well, there are no votes out there. We drive for things such as sealing the road from Winton through to Laverton so we have the third sealed road across our nation. I think a great national task. Making sure those kids out west can get to secondary school and get into university so we get the proper support for them. Looking after people in the drought, sealing roads, Rural Investment Corporation, but making sure that we have the capacity to be partners with people in regional areas. These are strong messages that are put forward by a strong party, and I'm only as strong as my colleagues around me support me in that process, and as their elected leader, and I'm very humbled by that. We always make sure we drive a hard bargain for regional people, and we're doing it now, rolling out new mobile phone towers, all these sort of things. I sometimes I'm a little bit dismissive because we don't go and parade around the place every time we get a win that people say, oh, you're submissive. I've never seen that. We've always driven a hard bargain. People know that. People know we're delivering for them, and they've elected us on that. They judge us by our track record, and judge us by the verdict of the people. They elected us in.
I wanted to ask you a wider question about the Conservative vote. I mean, a number of people have made the point since the election that there are a lot of people, maybe upwards of 1 million, from the Conservative side who didn't cast a first preference vote for either the Nationals or the Liberals. They voted for some other party. Obviously, Pauline Hanson did particularly well. We've had a bit of a debate about this over the course of the last week. What's your view about the extent to which this is a problem, these lost Conservative votes, and how should the coalition, both the National Party and the Liberal Party, address this problem?
Well, Paul, yeah, look, I understand. This is a phenomenon that's not just seen in Australia, it's seen throughout the world. It's coming. We live in a new environment, and you're part of it right now. The 24/7 media environment, so that there's more of a shopping list of candidates. We see even the Greens have lost. I mean, that's another story that's gone unnoticed. The Greens have actually lost position, and I don't know where that vote went, whether it went to Pauline Hanson or where it went, but they lost position. The Labor Party had the second lowest vote on record since the Second World War. There is definitely a sense that you have to be engaged on a personal level with the people in your electorate on the issues that are most pertinent to them, and you must not be embarrassed to discuss them, and you must not get distracted by what you think is the biggest hit inside the 5,000 people who reside in Parliament House on a sitting day, because so often their issue is not the issue out there in the street. It's not on Peel Street, it's not on Conadilly Street, it's not on Pitt Street, and it's not on Collins Street. It's just in Canberra. And when people hear you talking about that all the time, they just go, well, mate, you're not talking to me, so I'll go shopping for somebody else.
Well, I think that answer provides the basic clue here. What you're really saying, I think, is stay close to the people, listen to the people.
Absolutely.
I mean, is that the main
yeah.
response to these lost Conservative voters?
Yeah, I mean, without trying to be too grandiose, do exactly what I tried to do yesterday. Go down to the football, wander around and say good day to people. They will tell you what's annoying them, and make sure that you give people that space to talk to you one-on-one, and then when you go to Canberra, reverberate their issues, not the issues that you hear from the Fourth Estate. As noble as those people are, make sure that you are going back to your electorate and talking about their issues, and their issues overwhelmingly are tactile. They can touch them, they can see them. Talk to them about their vision for their nation in a form that they understand. So you say, if I build a dam, that provides real wealth. It provides security so your city can grow, your town can grow. There's more irrigation, the value of your land goes up. Our nation becomes stronger, we export more, we can pay our bills, pay for the hospitals, pay for the schools, pay for all the things you want, but we've got to make the nation stronger. Or if we get that inland rail built between Melbourne through to Brisbane, that will create a corridor of commerce and give people in the West the opportunity, and people can see that. And they can see that that's a vision that even if they're not there, they want to be a part of. And even simple things like if you say, we're going to seal the third road across our nation, people go, got that? That sounds like a good idea. Like that idea. You know, who are you? I think I'll vote for you.
Barnaby, Joyce, we're going to take a break in a moment, but just one quick question before then. One of our viewers has tweeted in and asked me to ask you about this story that is online. I wonder if you've seen it, about the 10,000 hectares of mangroves that have apparently died across the Queensland and Northern Territory coastline. An international mangroves expert, I didn't know there was such a thing, but Dr. Norman Duke from James Cook University has said that he believes that the dieback is unprecedented and may have something to do with the effects of climate change. I wonder if I could get your comment on this story.
Wow, talk about a question from left field. No, I haven't read Mr. Duke's story yet. Can I please take that one on notice and we'll get back to you?
Sounds good, sounds good. We're going to take a quick break. Stay with us, Barnaby, Joyce. We're talking to the Deputy Prime Minister who did very well at the election, both in his own backyard and for the Nationals around the country. We'll continue the discussion here on Sunday Agenda when we come